Welcome everybody to the Chess Lab, welcome to Repertoire Mastery episode 9. It's crazy how fast you go when you are consistent, and let's go. So what I do in this series is I play 15 plus 10 rapid games on Chess, and I'm basically following a repertoire from 3 chessable courses, and after the game I check if I respected the moves in the courses. If I did, I have a spreadsheet where I put down a green tick, and if I didn't, I put a red X or a red cross, call it as you want. And the goal is to reach 100 green ticks with this repertoire. So that's basically the idea. Okay, knight f3, d5, g3. Again, we are in theory. And while I do this, I also study chess, of course, and I'm studying those 3 courses. I'm in the phase of trying my best to memorize them, because I went through all the moves, some chapters many times, and, I haven't memorized it fully, though. And that's basically what I'm doing. So, okay. We are playing against a 22-17. I'm rated 23-25. I would say for the first time ever, perhaps a rating that I deserve, because I've been playing some really good games. Yesterday's video, which I'm uploading it on YouTube as we speak. I have it in another tab, the process of uploading. But the last video, I should say for you guys, I was quite sleepy because I slept a little the previous night, because, this week I go to work at 5 and I wake up at 4 a.m. And so because of these reasons, I didn't play really that well. I still managed to lose one game and win one game, which is kind of in line with what I usually do, but I was not satisfied that much. Today I slept much more, so I'm much more well rested, and in the past hour I did a 30 minutes power nap, and now I feel like I just woke up 8 a.m. in the morning after a good night of sleep. I'm actually taking this off because, I really feel great. Also, yesterday I ate some biscuits while I was making the video, and that's just spiked my sugar levels. So I'm not doing that today, even though I'm hungry. I'm very hungry right now, but I have my water. I'm just gonna drink water. I'm gonna eat afterwards, I guess. Now, while I was talking, my opponent went for the Grunfeld setup. Now, something very problematic about the Grunfeld setup, which is basically black fianchettoing, but then playing d5 and not d6. This setup has a problem, which is quite common. It's not so obvious what I am supposed to do against it, and is not bad at all. Is a decent setup for black, at least since I don't know what to do against it. So I'll have to study carefully what I want to plan to do against it in the future. But again, right now I'm in the phase where I just want to really get down the basics of this repertoire, and that's pretty much it. Now, this position, paradoxically enough, despite what I just said, is relatively topical, because here I think the best thing to do is taking. And, 3 pieces are looking at this square. So according to Raven's strategy, Grandmaster Raven Sturt, if you don't know him, made a very good course on Chessable about strategy. The strategy course of Raven, which I call Raven strategy, is that you should perhaps force black to keep this pawn forever over to d5, because if this pawn gets blocked, well, then you have all of a sudden these 3 important pieces for black that are just stuck there. However, things are not that simple. In this case specifically, I think that taking is actually the best thing to do. Why? Because things are also concrete sometimes. So first of all, forcing black to keep this pawn forever here is basically a mirage, is a dream. Because after you play d4, they can always just take. And you may say, what about pushing? Well, right now is impossible, and even in the future, how do you do it? You would have to completely change the strategy of the way you are positioning your pawns and pieces. So you would have to compromise your position strategically very deeply just to perhaps achieve something. It's not even clear. That's the thing, but also by taking, what do you achieve? Well, let's see the possibilities. If they take with the knight, you just take their strong dark square bishop, and this looks fantastic. They lack the dark square bishop forever. That's great. If they take with the queen, I guess that here actually the move knight h4, which defends the bishop, otherwise you would get mated, wins their bishop. So I think that's losing even for them. I think so, yeah. But that would have to be calculated. But it's definitely bad even after knight c3, forcing the queen to move. And if she moves on this diagonal, well, c6, again knight h4. So, yeah, perhaps they have knight e4. So, yeah, it's to be considered, of course. But d3, So, yeah, what else? If they take with the bishop, then you have knight to c3, which wins a tempo on the bishop and threatens to capture it while winning the bishop pair. They could play knight c4 after that, and if you take this bishop, they take yours. But in that instance, you can just play rook c1, or even queen c2 perhaps, forcing them to trade, and then you take, and you're still forcing them to trade. So I'm gonna take. I could have just captured immediately, because I knew I was gonna do it, but I prefer to give you guys this little explanation, so that perhaps I'm teaching you also something here, from my very small position, because, I'm not a master or anything, but I feel like I'm more experienced than some of the viewers, if you allow me this act of hubris. Here we go, bishop takes d5. They can, of course, capture, but that plays perfectly into what I want to do. And also, with Dania's passing that happened a couple of days ago, which everyone is still rightfully talking about, I think that honoring him is not just say that you honor him, is actually doing something. And since the day he passed, I'm really trying in my videos to speak a little bit better, because Dania was very well known to speak very well in his videos. And English is not my first language, so, it's a journey. And also he loved to explain clearly the concepts, to make sure that everyone could understand those concepts. It doesn't matter if a grandmaster was watching his videos or a complete beginners. Everyone should understand. That was his philosophy. And I think those things are very good, so I'm trying to also do the same. Okay, back to the game here. Since my opponent moved, they moved back. So as you can see, by taking in the middle, I got one piece out, and my opponent did this. So they lost a tempo. It's not that big of a deal, but, it's not even that bad. Now, what to do? I have no idea. I can perhaps just put a pawn into the center. That's definitely something that makes a lot of sense. And I can also just move my queen. Moving the queen to c2 rather, is sensible, because I'm really controlling these two squares. I'm perhaps preparing e4, and followed by d4 I would have a great center. But also I'm not compromising these two pawns, which once again I don't know how I want to move them. And I think this is the moment to ask myself, what's my opponent's plan? Well, my opponent definitely wants to develop this knight and try to get some play going. And so I'm thinking about the move d4, and I notice something. If my opponent plays the move knight c6, all of a sudden this bishop is not guarding the move the square e4, not the move. So I can play e4 myself perhaps, because right now I cannot play e4, since both the knight and the bishops are looking at it, and only the knight's defending it. So perhaps I can play e4. However, after further examination, I noticed that after d4, knight c6, e4, actually they cannot capture, because after I capture they don't have bishop takes b2, because if I play this now, and let's say the bishop is here, they still can take, because after take and take, I drop the piece. But by playing d4, I also block the diagonal. So d4 is really good. And you may say, okay, but knight c6 is ridiculous. What about knight d7? Well, after knight d7, the presence of the pawn on d4 limits tremendously the scope of the knight and makes these two knights chained. There is a specific terminology for this, but I can't recall it right now. I really can't recall it. So I almost can, but I can't. So d4 makes a lot of sense. There is also another possibility for them to play c5 to try to untangle, but then I can simply take, and they find themselves in an inferior pawn structure. Not that this is the end of the world, but it gives me something to play for. So I'm gonna go with d4. It's called the knight. The superfluous knights. It's superfluous. I don't think it's superfluous, though. The knights. You know, if the two knights are here, they are in the way of each other. It's a very famous situation. There are many examples of this where the two knights are like this, like the green circles, and they defend each other. They're very safe, but also they move in the way of each other. So they do it, and now they may want to go for c5. That could be an option. And c5 is definitely in the cards. Now the question is, can I try to prevent the move c5 in a sensible way? Does it make sense to prevent the move c5 even? I don't know. I could try to go knight e5, for example. If they play e5, I would attack the bishop as well. I would just take. But after this, they can take. First, I take. Then they take. I take. And maybe this is not so bad, because then I can proceed with f4, e4, and get that very famous kingside pawn majority running, even though that would be a very weird 5 against 4, which is super unusual. But then I could try to target this pawn. Another possibility is rook c1, but after c5, as soon as I take, they are just gonna take with the knight. However, after rook c1, c5, I can try to go knight a4. And after knight a4, I'm threatening the pawn. If they play b5, I just take it. If they push, I just take it. And if they take me, it's not clear, but I can take perhaps with the knight. There are some tactics involved with the fact that this is now defended. They probably take, I take, and all of a sudden the c6 square is extremely tender. They could jump with the knight on e4 for some reasons, but no, because I just take their bishop. That's not optimal. They can play e5, but then this could be an idea. So I'm gonna go with rook c1. And one very good thing about rook c1 is that this cannot possibly be a blunder, even if this whole idea of mine turns out it doesn't work. Okay. So a move like rook c1 is very nice because it improves your position. It doesn't create blocks. It keeps all the pieces harmonious, so it doesn't break harmony, which is another Raven's third concept. And again, it may help against the move c5. So sometimes, if you don't have a plan, like me, I didn't have a plan in this position. So my plan all of a sudden became try to play against your opponent's ideas. And as you can see, they considered what I just played a problem, and they indeed played rook c8 to support c5 a little bit better. Now, this obviously leaves me with the question, can I play knight to b5? Of course. Knight to b5 is a move that is hitting this... he's hitting the pawn. But things are very complicated. Of course. because after I play knight to b5, they can perhaps just ignore. They can perhaps just push c5. Now, what else is there? Because my idea was if that I take and then I have this square to access, but like for example, this a6, I go here, they move here, then I go here. They perhaps have to take, but then they're giving up massive squares, obviously. I'm really not sure. Rook c8 I don't like, but at the same time, how to punish. And I just noticed another move that to call it devious is to give it a compliment, really. And is the move bishop to h3 with the idea of pinning the knight. If they play c5 at that point, I can just take, and they are kind of forced to take either with the pawn, but then I achieve my goals, or to take with the rook. And at any rate, knight a4 is strong. What about knight a4 immediately? Knight a4 immediately. Knight a4 immediately I don't like, because it puts the knight too much on a side square. I really don't like that idea. There is also the very old, but perhaps gold, knight to e5. They will probably take, I take, they take, that's my expectation, I take, and the problem is the knight doesn't have too many retreating squares. However, it has the forward square. Sorry. It has the forward square knight g4, so let me calculate. I'm not going to use the arrows, so I'm going to say the coordinates out loud if you can follow well, otherwise don't worry, we'll see in the game and in the analysis. So knight e5, bishop takes g2, king takes g2, knight takes e5, pawn takes e5, queen takes, rook takes, doesn't seem to help, quite frankly. I'll be very honest. So knight there, bishop takes, king takes, knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, rook takes, let's say, knight to g4, the only critical attempt in my opinion, f4, knight e3, but rook d3. Let's see without the trades of the queens. So knight there takes, bishop takes g2, king takes g2, knight takes, pawn takes, knight g4, queen takes, rook f takes, f4, knight e3, rook to f3. The knight has to go back to f5, and then e4, and then knight d4 attacking the rook, and then rook d3. And then there are some nasty knight e2 stuff, but I can also just go back, and so be it, they have a rook there. I think it's playable. It's a complex position, but I think I can go for it. What other moves are there that are not that forcing? I don't know. I like to go for it. Also, another reason I go for it is because I'm a little bit low on time, and if this variation presents itself, basically every piece gets out of the board, and we are in an endgame, and this is a little bit more manageable when it comes to calculation and all that. So I think I can perhaps handle myself, even if I don't have a lot of time on the board, you know. Oh, I made a blunder. Okay, fantastic. All my calculation goes out of the window, but my opponent blunders as well. So the reason why my calculation goes out of the window is because if they go there, I was basing everything off of takes, and then f4. And after the check, which I didn't see as a check, I thought my king was on g1, I just moved the rook. So I made a total mistake here in calculation. My opponent goes here with the knight, but now I can just play f4, and everything's protected. So unbelievable. Both me and my opponent are like... we don't know what chess is, but that's the beauty of the game. That's the beauty of the game right there. And all of a sudden, my position, I think, is not bad at all. I think. I don't know. There are already ideas like knight b5. And if they attack me, then this and this makes sense. Okay, they go there. Now, do they have access to some squares going forward? Not really. So let me just take. Now I have to be careful because I made that mistake. And of course, you know, this signifies that I wasn't alert enough. Okay, so here they're taking control over to this file, which I don't like. So let me counter it with this move. Let me counter it with this move. My plan is now to go e4, king to f3, and then knight to d5 if allowed. They probably have to play something like e6 to keep the balance, but then this makes the bishop very weak, and any future f6, of course, just makes everything a little bit weaker. Also, now my idea of going here, here, and here is stronger because I will take full control over to the d file. And you can see in the future a move like b4 or even bishop a3, an infiltration over to d7 after trading this knight. And then I would have a superior knight to an inferior bishop. Inferior bishop that could be activated over here. Probably what they should do, perhaps. I don't know, though. Okay, so now they limit the scope of my knight. However, now I think I can play this very annoying move, bishop a3, and I'm threatening the massive positional move, bishop takes, which will basically win me the game. And let's go for it. Bishop a3. Again, their bishop on g7 is dead. They should probably play to reactivate that bishop. But it's not easy because now, after they play e6, I immediately trade, play knight e4, and just install a knight over to d6. Why not, right? So things are getting nasty for them. However, it's important that I keep the control over to the d file. At least that's what I think is important. And I feel like I have the better position. They should have played knight g4 probably with advantage, or to the very least slight advantage, but they instead decided to go back with a knight. The idea of perhaps moving back with a knight was a little bit scary to them, but they should have noticed the weakness on e3. I go back just to make sure that I'm not dreaming, right? If they go here and I play this, there is this, yes, of course. So, nasty. And now I think they are experiencing some issues. I'm not saying they're lost, but it's tough. It's just tough. So, yes. Again, everything they try is quite unfortunate. They don't really have good solutions unless they have something strong tactically. In that case, of course, things are different. Perhaps a very good option for them is to take, or not even take, but just play f6. f6 is perhaps an option for them. But even f6, I take with the bishop at this point, knight here. Or even better, if they take with the bishop, e4. But then I have to be careful about the tactics on this d file. So perhaps knight a4 with e4 to follow. Yeah, even if they take with the pawn, because if they push, I push. Interesting. All I have to do is not take the rook and just play it slow, and I should be fine. But it's a complicated position, very complicated. Perhaps I want my king closer to the action, which I definitely do, but at the right time. But they're definitely experiencing issues, as you can tell, by their time management that is now slowing down tremendously. So I have to make some order here in this room because I don't like this. All right. They defend like this, which I think is a perfectly reasonable move. Now I'm definitely gonna take, because otherwise they can move their knight. And here the question is, do I go here or do I go here? Well, I think going here makes more sense. These allow the pawn to be pushed, but the pawn here can be a strength, according to who you ask. And if you ask me, I think it's a strength, but not super sure. And I definitely want my king closer. Okay, they take like this, and now I just take, and I have the open file. I'm threatening to win a pawn. If they push, I just take. I have no problems. They have counterplay, obviously, but anytime they do anything, I just do this. Okay, this is a move, obviously, right? But I can just take. And I always have this move to prevent their infiltrations. That's very important. Now, I think I want to play king to f3. The move king to f3 defends both the knight and the pawn. The king stays on the light squares and defends h2, but is not a problem in my opinion, so let's just do it. This rook move is never a possibility. If they infiltrate here, again, I can try to go here. And if they attack this, my plan was to just push it. Believe it or not. And is defended by the knight, and the knight's defended by the king. And the knight and the king are all on light squares. That was my grandiose idea. Okay, if they do this move, my plan was to just go here and ask them if they want to trade rooks while I'm up a pawn in an endgame. They decline, reasonable. And now the position is extremely difficult. Don't get it twisted. The position is unbelievably difficult. They perhaps want to go here, which is not a big deal, but it could be annoying to face. Now, the question is, do I go here? I think it makes a lot of sense to go here, because now, if they push this pawn, I jump in immediately and I think it's crashing. But I'm threatening this. How do they defend? And I'm threatening to take this while defending the pawn. So I go here, they push, I go here. Very tough, quite frankly. That's very tough. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go in. There are no checks. There is a check on f1, but I think it's not a problem, because I just attack the rook, and then if they go here, I just attack it again. They may want to move it, but then I just play h5. I don't care. But the fact that the h2 pawn is undefended, you have to notice it, obviously. I think they have to play e6 at some point to like free themselves, but it's then a very tough position. Because after this, I can actually just check them probably, right? Okay, so here I can also just go here, but then this pawn will fall. So I think I'm gonna go here, but then they defend. True, but then they defend. But then I can go here, I guess. Things get nasty. Okay. Now, if I go here, they check me, and I can always do this though. And if they go here, I can always do this. And if they go here, I can always do this. And if they go here, I can always do this. So I think that this is fine. But of course, the position is complicated, obviously. Okay. There are some lines where I get checked here, but I'm not concerned at the right moment, as of right now. I'm just gonna gobble. Gobble, gobble. And keep in mind that this is actually an extremely difficult position for my opponent to play, like very, very difficult. Because it's tough. It's really tough. I also have a tab open with, okay, now I just play h4. h4 is actually useful because there are some lines where this king square is not available, and I checkmate them with my knight infiltrating something like this, I don't know. Okay, so there are some lines which are critical. And here I think there is no way to defend this, I'm just gonna take it. And it's not just a pawn, is first of all removing a source of counterplay for my opponent, is also increasing the defense over this, and is also creating a strong passed pawn, which quite frankly may just as well decide the game. So the position is really critical, okay? But now I feel like they're going nowhere. So check, of course, if they go here I have this, and if they go here I have this, and then this and all this. So check is very strong, they move up, I go here, they go there, I go here. So let me calculate, check, so let me do it without the arrows. Knight f6, king g7, knight e8, king g7, sorry, king h6. Yes, rook takes, bishop takes, knight back to f6, threatening checkmate, and there is literally no way to stop it, unless I'm insane, which I could be. So check. Check. They go there, logical. But now I go here then, you know, I didn't have to do the crazy things. Now I just go here. And the point is this bishop's still dead. I mean, they can go here, but then all of a sudden these pawns make sense. And I'm attacking this guy, not with the rook, because I will then probably just lose the game in a funny way. And I'm just threatening this as well. Like, if they go here attacking this guy, I just take here. That's the whole concept, and they have nothing. So this is just a completely dominating position. Again, I'm not really going after this, but I just want to take here and go here back and then push my pawn. You know, normal stuff, normal stuff. And nothing too vulgar, you know. We are of the people here. Okay. Normal stuff, normal stuff. Okay, h5, but h5, I'm not sure h5 I like. Okay, I'm just gonna take. Perhaps he wants to set up something, but there's nothing. Okay, they kind of escape, but now I check them, and I think they have to go back, because if they go here, now I take this guy, so they kind of have to go back. And I can start pushing here, I can also go here, but then they capture this pawn. Is there a way to take advantage of this bishop? I don't think so. I'm just gonna push this pawn now. I'm just gonna push the pawn and play for the win. Very simple plan. Very simple plan in my opinion. Okay, they go after this pawn. Okay, what can I do about it? What can I do about it? I push, they take it, I push again. They defend. I don't know, maybe I just want to defend it. Maybe I just want to defend it. Let's just defend the pawn. This guy doesn't attack it because it's pinned. They may play king g7. But then I just push further. And I think my endgame is completely winning. Yeah, I think this is completely winning. I think. Okay, they take. Now I'm gonna take. And now I think I'm gonna go here. A very nasty move. Because if they go here, I just take. Yes, let's do it. Their king is a little bit stuck. Sorry, the rook is a little bit stuck. And I'm also threatening to push and promote. Like, if they go here, I push and then I promote. So they really have to go here, but then I take this. and then I'm gonna calmly figure it out. Like put my rook here, do something very small, very, very chill. Okay, and then I'm just gonna walk my king. They try to prevent it, but I'm gonna walk it like this if needed. And I think I'm gonna start immediately. Don't need to hesitate. Let's just walk the king. No need to hesitate. Let's just go. Okay. But I'm really gonna walk it. I'm really gonna walk it. I go here, they take, I go here. Okay, so now if I go here and they take, I push, they go back, I check, and then I promote, so I win even easier. So now I can do this with ease. And they go back. Okay, but now I go here, they take, I go here, and I'm gonna just bring my rook here and do this, so. No, actually, if they take, I push, because there is no way for them to get back to the A file. So they have to go here probably. But then I just move forward. Okay, now I push, and they can't go back here. So that's pretty much it. Yes, GG. I can block and I'm threatening to promote and I'm threatening the rook. How can they save both at the same time? I don't see it. So I think now I'm expecting resignation. Very clean technique in the end. Very clean technique in the end. I'm very pleased by that. GG, clean game. Clean game, GG. I'm happy because I feel like I'm a little bit back after yesterday videos, which again, it's funny for me to say because it's here that is uploading. Public, what's the title? You must push through. Repertoire Mastery episode 8, fantastic. Publish. I'm now publishing the video that you just saw, guys, which is pretty funny. Okay, sorry, but give me a second while is going the evaluation of the engine. Perfect, everything is uploaded, so let me close it. Fantastic, so enjoy the video. Well, you already did. And look at this, look at this accuracy. I mean, quite nice if you ask me. Quite nice. Again, from a position that I don't really necessarily know how to navigate it too well. Something that always staggers me is like on move 15 there is a plus 1.6 advantage. Like imagine playing perfect, like the engine on move 20 would have been already won in this game. This is unbelievable. And my opponent played like 3 inaccuracies when he was already lost. So I will say that in this game he made like, and from plus 0.9 to 1, he basically made 2 inaccuracies and 1 mistake, really, if you really think about it. And I played very, very well. I'm really happy about this game. And yeah, as you can see after, this is already minus 0.1. This setup by black is good. It's just that you have to know how to follow it up, and this is already kind of decent for me. And I just played very logical moves. I did all my calculations. Yeah, here they should have gone knight g4 and here knight b5. Okay, so perhaps I have some tactical means through which I save myself, because in the end of the day they're threatening to win a pawn, but by playing this, if they take, I can always take the queen and then take the pawn, so I'll get back a pawn, you know? And then my position's fine, and it's equal, it's just 0-0 because of that. But they played knight d7, which obviously is an inaccuracy, because now I play f4 and I'm doing okay, more than okay. Knight c5, queen takes, rook takes, and here bishop a3 immediately was actually called for, very nice. What about infiltrations though? Well, they're actually threatening nothing. I can quite frankly just take, probably, I don't know, rook d2. rook f to d1 even, because both of these pawns are nicely guarded by the knight, and again this bishop is dead, so, and this knight's going nowhere, so calmly rook f to d1, very nice. What if they insist? Let's see at this line. Rook takes d2, rook takes d2, and now just king f2 to get this king into action as well. And let's say bishop f8. Okay, you win a tempo. Here you can actually go king e3 first because you win a tempo. And after you rook d8, now you take, and knight e4. And basically we reach a position similar to the one of the game. But c5 is wrong. They should have played f6 immediately, getting the counterplay going, and this would have solved their problems. But by playing c6, they allowed bishop a3, this idea, and that's it. So, but this is very instructive that here the best move was bishop a3, because if you don't play it immediately, they have time to play f6 rather, and they have counterplay. So very instructive moment. And as you can see, if you don't check these things just because you won the game, you will never notice them. Like this move here, rook f to d1, is actually a serious inaccuracy. I know that the end is an inaccuracy like every other, but I will even call this a mistake. Because it's a mistake to me. It's a mistake because with the concept bishop a3, you fight for the win clearly, and if you miss it and you allow black to solve their issues, at least broadly, the engine is like, yeah, you still have an advantage because with f6 they compromise themselves and whatnot, but it's not so obvious anymore. Like after f6 you can take and play for that 4 against 3 finally, right? Fair. So, no, okay, it's fair, but you have to understand the concept of the 4 against 3. For example, f6, and then what happens? b4, for example, as you can see, is already dirty. What if you take, bishop takes, and let's say here, but this allows perhaps the knight infiltration. So king f3 is preferred by the engine. Yeah, it's not so obvious that you can play e4, because again, the knight will just infiltrate. So what's the threat? Knight e4? No, just rook c2 or bishop back to e1. Okay. King f7, bishop a1, c6 now, b4, or even e4. Okay, now it's playable. And again, you're playing for this 4 against 3, but it's not even a 4 against 3. It's a 4 against 2 and 1. It's weird. So now it's equal. Whereas if you play bishop a3 immediately, this is all of a sudden plus 1.5, rounded to the higher half point, right? It's the 1.3. So yeah, this is serious inaccuracy. It's a mistake. To me, it's a mistake. To me, it's a blunder, actually. To me, do I call it a blunder? Mistake. Serious mistake. But okay, it was not punished, so c6. And listen, if the punishment of my missed opportunity is the fact that another missed opportunity by my opponent is a mistake, then me missing the chance to not allowing them to miss the chance is a mistake as well, if that makes sense. So if c6 is a mistake, rook f d1 is a mistake, and I think that's the case. Okay, so bishop a3 now, nicely spotted by the way, and here I just take, go knight here, takes, c4, and this is plus 3, as you can tell, it's just over. And here I'm happy because in the past I would have been very concerned about a move like c4, but here I'm really at, I would say, a higher level of understanding of the game. I know it sounds fancy, but it simply means I became a little bit stronger. And I just realized that I can just take a pawn, and there are no threats, and all the squares are covered. King f3, just very nice, just pushing the pawn, just rook d2. And taking was actually best, but again, look at this. Like, this angle is just crazy. And now you completely bury the bishop and you just win, because you're going to bring your king in the right places. And if they bring their king to the right place to stop your king to go to the right place, let's say even here their king, right? Which is not possible, but let's say they bring their king somehow. They can't even approach. Okay, so they bring it here to prevent your king from taking the pawn and approaching. Well, guess what? It's just over on this side. And yeah, and also you can go here, here, and here, and you're gonna take this pawn as well, and then you're gonna push, and you win. And if they take, you have the passed pawn and their king's here. So this is a completely winning endgame. But of course it requires much more work, and so even the engine evaluation is lower because of that, because it doesn't calculate that far. But if you had a computer that can calculate 60 moves ahead in every direction, it will tell you that rook takes d2. Well, it would probably call mate already. Believe it or not, I think so. But rook b1, if a grandmaster tells you immediately that this is completely winning for white, meaning there's a mate, and it's not that far if you think about it. So I know it kind of seems advanced, but when you start to think about it, it's actually just logical. So okay, a5, rook a7, rook b5, a4, rook b3, e3. Again, in the past I would have been concerned about all of this, but I'm like, no, just I would have been sorry, irrationally afraid of this, but there's nothing ever. Just chill. h4, check. Again, my hope was that they went here, I go here, they take, and they're actually one move away from achieving what they want, but I thought that there is this and this is just over. Yeah, mate in 5. I'm surprised that he's mate in 5. Oh, okay, rook b7, okay. Okay. This is why he's mate in 5. This is why he's mate in 5, guys. You can even choose the pawn. Yeah, e4 is fancier. Yeah, this is why it is mate in 5, but you understand it's just forced checkmate on the next move. Okay, so they went to g8, and this is pretty much over. Yeah, the only thing to be careful about is not taking here, because then, oops. That would be all of a sudden. Yeah, it's a draw, because after this, you probably just go here, and you actually survive, because their situation is so bad. And you have like 7 pawns for the piece. So that would be just equal, right? That's how bad it is, but of course it will save them. And now it's just over. Don't not be afraid to move the king closer. And now it's just over. Very nicely done, even in the very few moves. Okay, now, I forgot the most important thing. I always forget the most important things. That's why people not improve at things, is because we, as humans, tends to not focus on what really, really matters in things, which is interesting. Which is very interesting. So, okay, what really matters is, did I respect the repertoire or not? That's what really matters, guys. That's why we are here. So, as you can see, we are at 10 correct followed repertoire games. And something I'm struggling with a little bit is the process of memorization of the Accelerated Dragon course, which is exactly this course here. It really popped up. This one here. I'm struggling with the memorization of the Rossolimo with this one. I don't know why, but I just confuse the moves. Usually when I open a line in Chessable and I play the very first few moves and then I see what they do, and everything is automated, and it's me to make the move, I have some ideas, some directions, and even if I make the wrong move, I'm like, oh yeah, no, the move was, and it comes to my mind. I never had problems, but in this case I actually have problems. I the moves come up and I'm like, I have no idea what to do. Like I never studied it, but I've studied like 2-3 times. So I think this is due to multiple things, a lot of work, right? A lot of lines. I'm pushing really, really strong, and so it's normal that my brain is struggling to keep up. I think it's normal, and I'll just keep pushing until I break through. Very simple solution. It's just here the way that you could fail in this position, this situation, is by giving up on it and be like, okay, this is my limit. That will be the mistake. If you're in a situation like this and you are stuck on something that you have never been stuck, the only way you can lose that is by saying that's too much for me and give up. That's a wrong belief. You just have to keep pushing, and you see that you'll break it. This applies to this situation of chess, but also in everything in life, you know. Okay, so this is something I can tell you from experience, because there are many situations where you're like, this is too much for me, because you're already way ahead of what you always used to do. You have already broken multiple ceilings, if that makes sense. And so you think, okay, now I can't really go through. But it's like, no, just keep pushing. And you'll break just another ceiling. And it's just all the ones that you already broken. It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. It really works like that. Okay, browse 3. Enough for the philosophy right there. Knight f3, d5, g3. Knight f6, bishop g2, g6. b3, bishop g7. Okay. Yeah, these move orders. So d5, knight f6, g6. So d5, knight f6, and g6. Yeah, and as you can see, this is not even in Nate Solon's course. It's not in the course, which is unbelievable. The Grunfeld setup. I think Solon should really add something on the Grunfeld setup. And you may say, maybe there are transposition, maybe there's something. I don't know. But there was a chapter that mentioned it. It's just the reason is not included. And you may say, oh, so Nate Solon's course is not a good course. Absolutely not, the opposite. The reason why it's not included is because it's statistically very rare at club level. And below like 2000 only chess or chess.com. And most people that buy the course and for who the course is targeted don't face this line almost ever. It just so happened that at my level, 2200, 2300 lichess rapid, sometimes you face it. But this course is not for people of my rating, so it's absolutely fine. People of my rating, though, have no problem making an addition, right? I will add some lines personally to my own course that I will create artificially just for the occasion, okay? So if you are lower rated, don't worry about this line. If you're higher rated, you have to worry about this line, but you have the competence to worry about the line effectively by your own. And so the course just helps you to structure the work you do upon it, if that makes sense. So no, it's absolutely, absolutely great. But this means that my opponent went outside of theory before me, which means we are at 11 correct games done. Okay, let's do the whole row central. Thank you very much. Central. Horizontally centralized, okay? Let's close Chessable, let's close this as well. The reason I keep closing the tabs after I open them is to keep the recording as smooth as possible so that the computer doesn't use too much power. Before going to the next game, let's just take a second to appreciate the accuracy. Sorry guys, but I'm a little bit of a narcissist when it comes to these things, and perhaps not just those. Damn. Okay. Damn, bro. What are you gonna do? That's the way I am, you know. What are you gonna do? Okay, e4, c5. So now we are in the accelerated dragon repertoire. We are playing against 2167 opponent. Knight c6, this is the repertoire. On bishop b5 we have knight d4. And life goes on. And life goes on and on and on and on. f4 is a move here. Basically everything can be played at this point. It's all up to my opponent to decide in which direction to steer the game. And steering the game in direction, let's say, was an expression that Naroditsky also used. Naroditsky was very eloquent, you know. And listen, I don't talk about all the drama that came out of it because it's just not the way that I like my videos to be. But I'm just let you know, guys, that I'm fully aware of everything that is going on with the Naroditsky situation. It's just that I personally don't think it makes any sense for me to talk during the video while I'm making this analysis. Okay, so G3, this is covered in the course. And what is White doing? Well, they are quite simply going for perhaps a King's Indian attack, and they want to develop the bishop here. Now, this is covered in the course again, but it's covered in one of the closing chapters, and the process of memorization, I'm still not there. and I don't really remember what to do. I think that since they play g3 first and not knight here, a good idea is to go g6, bishop g7, so that d4 is virtually impossible for them. So I'm just going to go with my usual dragon setup. That would be the dragon setup, of course Sicilian against d4. And it's an English reversed if you look at it. So I may play the English one day from the white side. There is Alex Kolovic, if I'm not mispronouncing his name, who is a strong, very strong grandmaster who has many great courses on Chessable. They are all extremely highly praised. For some reasons, I've never bought any of them. But he has courses that are basically simplified openings, right? And I think simplified openings are kind of the best. Because again, you study basically the concepts, you memorize very few essential lines that if you don't know them, you basically get blown off the board, but the workload of memorization is virtually none, very small. And then you can start build your experience, your games, your statistics, and your own repertoire if you want on top of that basis. But that basis, those fundamentals, I think that if you study them from a grandmaster and not yourself, is a little bit better. Okay, so now they're probably really going for it. How do I intend to develop my pieces though? That's the question. Now, I think that the main move of the repertoire is rook b8 and b5, believe it or not. And I'll be extremely honest with you. In a previous game I played, I think I went for d6 and a5, and h5, sorry, and it worked wonders, because after d6, knight here, knight f6 if I'm not mistaken, castle and h5. If they play h4, which is like the most natural thing ever, you are already like minus 0.3 or something, which is impressive. However, I really think that but perhaps the main move was knight g2 e2 and then rook b8. So after d3 I can actually go for my plan. So do I play rook b8 or do I go for my plan? I'm gonna go for my plan. If d3 is what's covered in the course, I may have to arbitrarily take the decision that when this variation happen, I go for that plan. Now the question is, do I play d6 or knight f6? I think it's fine to play knight f6. But d6 though. d6 is because d6 is more flexible in the sense that I can always go for rook b8, b5 playing this. Or I could play rook b8 here and go for it anyways. Sorry guys if I'm not coherent right now, but my brain is fighting against the temptation of going for my idea, which I know is okay and great, but also the concept of sticking with the repertoire, and I just realized that I have to stick with the repertoire. And I have to stick with the repertoire ideas, guys. Even if the move in the course is 97, and so I could technically go for h5 and the repertoire is respected, I have to go with the repertoire idea. I have to play rook b8. I have to go with the repertoire idea and just experience a game in these lines. I have to do it. I really have to do it. And perhaps before you should play d6. Okay, they attack this pawn. Guess what? Now my opponent is helping me break any doubt. I'm gonna play d6. d6 defends the pawn. It's in line with both rook b8. It's in line with my idea of going h5. And it closes the diagonal in the case of bishop f4. So my opponent basically helped us decide what to do, because I really have to go for this. And now, an idea is a4. If a4 happened though, there is this very interesting maneuver, but this maneuver is usually played in when d4 is played. Never mind, there is a maneuver when in open Sicilians though, so these two pawns, imagine these two pawns not being on the board. If a4 there is the maneuver, you play a5 and then you go knight here, knight here, knight here. And they will never have b4 because your pawn is there and you just have an interesting position. But here, no, here makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense. It's not the thing to do. And again, knight g2 e2, knight f6. Then there is d4 perhaps. Yeah. Oh, knight g2 e2. No, sorry. Knight. See, I'm getting confused. Knight g2 e2. My idea was to go for knight f6 to play h5, but no. If knight g2 e2, I just play b5. That's the whole concept. And that's the whole concept. I have to play b5. So now I'm threatening b5. And the bishop on e3 is slightly misplaced. So if they play a4, I may consider knight f6. And if they play this, then I may have this. Because the move d6, of course, allow you to control the g4 square a couple of times. And that's... my apology for that. That's of course essential for runarounds of the knights. 2167, Rams 18, Rox Dixebek 2339. Of course, I'm a One Piece fan, guys. I love One Piece. I'm not really an anime guy. But One Piece is just One Piece, you know. I love it so much. And I don't even like the anime too much, especially recently. It's just that the story is great. I want to say great, amazing, and crazy all in one word, and I can't. Is truly amazing. Let's just go with amazing. And to keep up with the story, I'm reading the manga right now, so I'm up to date with the story. But it's like it's not even about reading the manga or watching the anime. It's the story itself. It's just the story is so good. It's just so good. Okay, so here what do we do? So they clearly want to long castle. But now, and they clearly want to go to h6. After knight f6, they want to play bishop h6. Long castle and all that. However, this position is so complex, I would love to spend like 3 hours on this position. I can't. Which is a good thing I can't, because I would actually do it. And probably being fast is... it teaches you the same, and you just don't waste time, quote unquote. Now the thing is, why not b5? Why not b5? Because the move b5 here is basically daring them to long castle, and then craziness comes. Because a move like h5 now is great, but they long castle, I go b5. If they do this, I just take, not hanging the knight and stuff. So yeah, why not just b5? b5 knight here, perhaps? I feel like things hangs. Yeah, so b5. b5. Bishop here now doesn't work because I'm still controlling this square. And as you can see, my opponent allowed me to play the reason why I play rook b8. So I just went with it. I mean, why not? Why not? Okay, this is interesting, because this seems a mistake to me. I could be wrong, but this seems to me that it simply allowed me to play b4 and win this pawn. Now, This is a critical position. It's not easy at all. But if I play b4, also because I'm in a new, like this rook b8, b4, b5, b4 concept is new to me, meaning all the typical tactics, the patterns, all these things are not, I'm not used to them. So the idea of going here and just winning this guy may not be correct, believe it or not. But I go b4, and they can go back, but that's not too scary. Every time they push in the center, I take, and the rook defends the pawn. This is something I'm noticing. So let's say the most likely variation is here, here, here. And I'm not disliking this too much, quite frankly. They push, push, take, 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 let's say. Castle. Perhaps they take here, though. Okay. So b4, go here. Can I play like e5? Is e5 insanity? Perhaps it is. So is b4 a good move or not? Before they just go back, and then they want to route the knight in a natural way. They want to play d4 also. It's not so clear. Can I play queen b6? Is this now impossible to be played? I think it is. So queen b6 prevents d4. It also defends the knight from some tactics. And if they castle, now I go with h5, trying to combine the ideas. And now the h6 square is overprotected. Let's say they go h4, then I play knight f6, threatening knight g4, bishop h6 not playable. All the central squares are controlled. They still, though, can play d4. But after d4 here, I could probably just go here at this point. They will take, take. Of course, this is a critical situation. I don't see ways to take advantage of that. But they could jump in perhaps with the knight. Oh. Okay. And they could probably jump in even before, huh? Yeah, because as soon as I go here, they can go here. But as soon as they go here, this hangs, so I can play like queen a5 or something. But then they have a check. Here is complex position, very complex position. So queen b6, castle, h5. No, but again, queen b6, I'm making the same mistake of allowing knight d5 with tempo. Remember, I did it also in the previous game. It's a blind spot of mine. It's really a blind spot of mine. So I have to play knight f6 first. But this allows them to play d4. But they could play d4 anyways. So, take, 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 take. Attacking this guy. a5 then. Just a5. There are some weird tactics involving bishop a7. So perhaps b4 has to be played, the knight goes back. Perhaps e5. Why not e5? Why not e5? Why not e5 then? f4? But f4, just knight here. But then they take, can't take with the pawn. It's really complex position, and I feel like I'm missing the forest for the trees here. It's weird, but I don't know. I really don't know. Do I play a6? Do I play prophylactically? Do I play a6 or not? Or perhaps h5 immediately. Yeah, h5 immediately perhaps. Because h5 immediately gives them some headaches. But why not knight f6 immediately? They go here. Yeah, take, though, take. You kind of get to those same annoying positions where this guy's hanging. And after a5, they could push through, take. It's not so obvious, So perhaps bishop b7, but bishop b7 hangs this pawn. So perhaps b4 and then bishop b7 in anticipation to the opening of the position. That makes some sense. They push, take, hitting everything, defense, and it's not looking good. They take here. But then I can take here, perhaps. Probably. Let me calculate this. So bishop, pawn here, knight here, bishop here, pawn push, takes. Oh, the bishop's not there. Knight here, queen here is just over there. I'm not liking this. So another thing I can try to do is try to play against their pieces like this. All things considered, I established this to be perhaps the best shot I have. There is knight a4 as well, but I thought that after queen a5 I'm doing alright. Okay, let's just go for this idea. It's a highly compromising idea, could not work, but also, what else? Now I can play bishop here, f4, I guess, queen here, trying to fight against f5 and try to trade the bishops, knight here probably, knight here, castle, f4 myself. And now, of course, I wasted a lot of time. I used a lot of time, but this makes it quite complicated now. I want to play queen d7 first, because if I play knight here, there may be this, or even bishop here. Now that I think about it. So queen d7, yeah, bishop e6, queen d7 is probably clever, and then the engine, of course, is gonna make fun of me. I spent too much time, but it's true that I didn't really want to play what I played. And so the fact that I managed to go against my biases, let's say, is probably a very good sign. I blundered. Fantastic. But not really. But yes. So my point was to play queen d7, and then they push, take, but my knight hangs in the end. So they just sacrifice the rook and take the knight directly. Take the knight directly, I have to take and I lose the bishop. So that's pretty annoying. My knight's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't see that. I didn't quite see that, unfortunately. And the position is just collapsing then. But again, don't panic. There are always solutions here. There are always solutions somehow. There are always solutions here, okay? There are always solutions. Knight f6 perhaps is paradoxically the best thing I can try to do. Take, I just take with a knight. They push, I fork them, is not the end of the world. So knight f6, because if I play knight here, this forces my bishop to go away. Knight here, pawn here, I can just defend the knight. And if they take, I just defend. If they go here, I have h6, which should work. It's ugly, but someone has to do it. It's ugly, but someone has to do it. Actually, after they push, I may just take and play bishop to d5. Very ugly, very, very ugly, but again, it may work. Ugh. I can't even look at this position. Yeah, unfortunately I messed it up. I'm just trying my best to handle the mess up. And so I'm in what I consider to be an inferior position. We are just in the opening. I'm under tremendous pressure. One inaccuracy means defeat. My opponent has 10 minutes. He's lower rated than me, but he's not weak. It's just that I'm very strong. So, I'm in trouble. Okay, they're wasting a little bit of a tempo here. So I think the best thing I can do is now castling. Is queen d7 now a move? Do this. Is the same thing, but is almost the same thing, isn't it? Almost the same thing. Or I can just castle. I really don't know what to do. I'm just gonna castle. Probably not best, but I gotta do something. Okay? They want to play g4 perhaps, but after g4... I can just take, probably. Yeah, I'm just gonna take. g4, I just take it. g4, I just take it. Is not the end of the world. And if my opponent starts to do that very famous thing where they play on your time, it may backfire tremendously. Like, tremendously. Because playing on your opponent's time is just so risky to do. So risky to do. So risky. I feel like my opponent has a win if they really want to, but I guess they have to find it. I think I should have played knight e7. Knight e7. Knight e7 has to be played. I missed that. Because if they push, I can just take, and there is no knight hanging. And now, perhaps before castling, there's still bishop c6. For the price of a pawn. Okay, sensible. But now that I'm castled, perhaps knight e7 before castling was required. But at that point, they could always go... No, maybe... Okay, because if I played it before... they could check on c6, and if I play it after, they can go g4. So, and now g4, now that I'm castle, is like, you can play it, but I feel like I can survive somehow. And maybe not, but maybe yes. Okay, interesting situations right there. Because okay, now I'm gonna click this. Okay, you should be able to see everything. Do you guys see everything? Hopefully. One thing about f5 is that after I take this file is blocked by their pawn. This is something I'm banking on tremendously, actually. There's not much time to think here. I don't have the luxury of time. I really don't have it. The luxury of time. That's something that I don't have. I really don't. I just don't have it. I just don't have it. And then there is f4, f6 rather, but f6... No, f6 no. No, f6 doesn't work immediately. Oh, but bishop g5. Bishop g5. But bishop g5, I can play f6. And queen e8. Take. They play g4. But then I start to go knight d4. And I have a position. And all of a sudden the fact that their knights are so bad counts. Well, here I take the main defender of their king side. Sorry if I do, but I have to. I gotta play some moves. And here there are many moves I want to play. Really many moves. But what about going here, perhaps? Or perhaps going here, but I don't like the fact that they push. But what happens if they do? I can push myself. Or I can take. I can go here. They fork is basically over. I don't have time. Let's go. I don't have time, unfortunately, and I'm just trying my best. Just trying my best right there. They go there. Okay. Tough position. Now I can go here. Check. I just move. Oh, I'm getting... No, this is a... Is this a blunder? Oh, this is a blunder. Queen here. Oh, I missed that. Oh, that's so sad. I thought they were just taking and... Yeah, it's over. Queen here. But they don't see it. Ooh. They don't see this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Now I'm playing. What is this? Of course I saw it, but I'm like, what? Just knight back. Okay, knight where? Don't lose on time. Don't lose on time. Don't lose on time. No matter what happened, don't lose on time. My knight controls the g7 square and is protected, that's my point. Because I'm like, maybe I'm getting mated by their queen somehow, sneaking by, but my knight is like, it's just there. Also, knight here, if they play f6. Taking offers the trade of the queens, and queen d5 with e3 to follow, some counterplay at least, the knight jumps in. Okay, where do I go? What's the best square? I have no clue, so I'm just gonna go here. Now I have this maneuver, if anything, trying to hold everything together. If anything, I'll just sack the piece. They want to go here, Do I go here? Yes, to block their queen as well. I'm afraid, but also, what's going on? Genuine question, what's going on? Because a knight here is just a check. After all. And even a knight here is just check. And after I block the queen out, queen d5, I'm making some moves. Like knight here, they move, check, taking here. I mean, I'm not mated. I have to repeat myself, I'm not mated. I'm not mated. I'm not mated. It's like a mantra, you know? I'm trying to believe it myself. They trade like this. I'm probably mated, but I'm not yet. I'm not mated. I'm not mated. Guys, I have to believe, okay? I have to believe. What do you want from me? Perhaps this was better, but I got scared about this, okay? Leave me alone. It doesn't exist, but I got scared, please. I got scared. I got scared. Let's go here. Is this a move? I don't even know if this is a move. Like, what is this? What are we talking about? Where do they want to go? What do they want to do? It's not clear where the knight's going from there. Here I take it. Or maybe that's a brilliant move. I should have gone queen f8. Oh no, knight here defends this square. And if queen here... Well, I just go here. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. Now I go here. I should have gone here though. Simplifying. Why didn't I do that? Huh? What's your explanation for this, Sergeant? I have no explanation. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But now, perhaps they want to go here. But, okay. No, but okay. Like, if I don't get mated, my position's winning strategically. The problem is I'm getting mated. This is the very little, insignificant detail. You know, oh, don't worry about it. We are winning strategically, guys. We are getting mated before we can exploit that, but we are winning strategically. You know, it's like, very nice. Yeah, I should have definitely gone here, and after taking like this, and after check, just move here, no problems. Queen here, just queen here, and there's nothing, believe it or not. A rook here, perhaps. No, because I trade queens, and again I'm winning strategically. There's absolutely nothing. Rook here. I gobble the pawn, and everything's winning. Unreal, dude. I can play it a move later, but it's not the same, because the knight stays on the board, and I don't want the knight on the board. Okay, rook there. I don't want the knight on the board, so I'm gonna make sure I fix that. Take. I'm not sure about this though. I'm not sure. I'm having doubts. I'm having normal doubts here. But okay, my king is stuck, that's the thing. Okay, check, I move, I don't see it. I think checking perhaps is actually can it be a blunder by then? And I have ideas like rook d5 even, rook b7, going here or something, like doing whatever. Okay, I have to move here. If I go here, queen here is checkmate almost. Queen here trying to go here. I saw that, but I thought I could just go here. That was my original idea, truth be told. Rook f8 is next. Hopefully not like dying. Rook f8, rook c8 next. He can have my a7 pawn, but not really, because then he defends f7. And then I can play h6, but then he plays h4. Yeah, never mind about h6. I never said that. Never mind. Yeah, I mean, if he finds the best moves, he's probably over. Maybe it's probably over. Queen c7 is strong here, but doesn't find it. Now I'm gonna go here with the idea of going here. So perhaps I should have played... No, rook b7 would have lost to promotion. Now I'm blocking the pawn. The first rule of best pawns, you block them. Of course. Of course. Of course. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do. Do-do-do-do, do-do. Do-do-do-do, do-do. I think I'll have to sacrifice a couple of pawns in this endeavor, but I'll gladly do it. I'll gladly do it. I have the idea of playing rook. They prevent my rook b7. That's not nice, guys. Come on. Why would you do that? That ain't nice. That ain't nice, dude. So I go here. The simple idea of going here. Yeah, let's do it. Simple idea, but sometimes simple ideas are the best. I'm also overprotecting c5. Queen b7 is probably the move. Then I play a5. They go here. I don't know. I do not know, quite frankly. Quite frankly. I do not know. Also, I have to keep in mind, Queen e5 can be an idea at the right moment. Not now, because it's threatening nothing, but in general. And if they check, take with the rook, I'm going to win their pawn through rook c7 and then king g7. If they take with the pawn, I take this pawn and I win the game. Again, strategically speaking, I'm probably winning. What is this? Can't I just go here? Oh, they want to go here and mate me somehow? Oh no, they want to go here and go here. Okay. But then I have this idea of going here and here, no? Oh, but then they want to close me in. Oh, that's not nice. Well, I have to go here because otherwise I lose on time. So let's start with the good habits. Let's start with the good habits, guys. Oh, I have a tactic. Never mind, guys, we're good. I have a tactic. I have a tactic. I have one of the greatest tactics ever conceived by humankind. I'm joking. But I have a tactic. I do. I have a tactic to save the game. Unless here I missed something and I'm losing. However, here it has to be noted I'm threatening the pawn. It has to be noted. It really has to be noted. If it has to be noted, it has to be noted. It has to be noted, dude. It has to be noted. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have tacticisms. You guys believe in the tacticisms. Also, I'm threatening e2 as well. And after rook here is not clear. Oh, they just take and I lose. Well, no, because of that aforementioned tactic. Ooh. Holy. This game is so wild, but why do I have 23 seconds? Wait, what? What? I just take it with check. That was my threat. What? What? And this follows. I'm not sure my opponent intended to give up that pawn, but maybe he did, but he doesn't have check, and I'm winning the pawn. If he interposes with the queen, I take and I play king g7 and I win the pawn. Unbelievable. If he interposes with the rook, it's like I win the game on the spot. Wow. Turns of events. You never give up. And you always push. I feel like there was a little bit of a reverence, if that's a word, towards my rating. I think I felt that a little bit. It's like, I'm gonna beat the 2339, I'm gonna beat the 2339. Which is weird to me to say, because I'm usually the one who lower rated. And he played not so optimal moves, but I was just lost. Is this the right water bottle? I think so. I was definitely lost. Yeah, absolutely. Look at this. +6. My opponent had +6. I completely screwed the little thing I got in the opening. But see, this is beautiful because I got this game in. This is experiencing this structure. But very complex games. Very complex. So, okay, b5, b4, knight d1, e5, castle, bishop e6. Bishop e6 is not good. h5. Whoa, oh, look at that, a random move. But actually here already, I didn't really know what to do. But as you can see, rook b8 and b5 is absolutely correct. b4 is correct. But here e5, this is the crucial moment of the game. h5, let me check. So rook d3, d6 is best, but rook b8, bishop e3, b5 immediately. How? Sorry, b5, bishop takes, queen a5, threatening this guy. Okay, I see it. Okay. b4 doesn't work because knight takes. Okay. Knight g2, e2. Oh, b4, attacking the bishop and the knight at the same time. Ah, wow. Okay, so this is a tactic already. Bishop e3 doesn't threaten the pawn, you just play b5. And if they take queen a5. Yeah, so as you can see, this is something we are learning. See, this is a pattern, and it's not, because you may say. This is very important, guys. Any one of you who made it till here is going to learn something very important. And this is something that took me years and years to learn. I know it sounds like some marketing gimmick, but it's actually true. It's literally as it is. b5, you don't learn it in this position. I'm gonna be a little bit brutally honest here, but people's brain tend towards laziness. This is just self-preservation of the brain, to spend as little calorie as possible. It's not something that should be shamed, it's just something that should be acknowledged. My brain works like this, your brain works like this. So it's actually easier for you to think, oh, in this specific position on move 6 of this game, like here, specifically here, playing b5 is okay. This is actually easier. What really is happening is that what you learn here is not that after bishop e3 on move 6 in this line you play b5. That's not what you learn. You learn that in these type of positions, where you played rook b8 and you're trying to go b5, yes, it's in those lines with, you know, e4, knight f3, the fianchetto, and the knight out, the d3, right? Is in those lines, but it's not necessarily in this position. You know that sometimes after bishop to e3, you can actually ignore them and play b5. Now you may say, yes, but outside of this position, when is it possible? And here is the thing, that's why your brain is secretly not teaching you the right thing, is you have to calculate each time. Knowing a pattern just helps you to come up with candidate moves faster, and also the candidate moves in the tree of your own calculation, right? That's why grandmaster calculates so precisely so fast, is because they have seen it, patterns, not the specific positions though. But your brain doesn't want to calculate every time. That's what it would be required to do. And so it tells you, oh, just learn that in this very specific position, b5 is the move. But that's not the teachings. Because if that's the teaching, it's a pretty meaningless teaching. Because how many times it happens that you have this exact specific position? Again, against masters, almost never. Because they don't play these close Sicilians. And the very rare time a master plays the close Sicilian, he's not going to make a mistake on move 6. Or at least something that allows, you know, he's minus 0.2 on move 6. A master doesn't do that. So the teaching is not, you know, in this specific position a specific move, but it's the concept, okay, they attack your c pawn, sometimes you can just ignore it and keep going with b5 immediately, and if they take, you have the idea queen a5 and b4. That's it. But okay, play d6, which is fine. Here b5 is fine. Here b4 is fine, and here h5. Here actually h5. I don't remember what I was afraid of. I guess I was afraid of d4. What's the problem? Oh yes, d4 you just play h4. I was afraid of d takes c5. Oh, h3. Oh, h3. Ooh. This is huge, guys. This is huge, because this is typical patterns of this line. The same exact thing I said so far, same thing here. So if bishop here, knight e5 already basically wins, because you're hitting this, the bishop can't go back, and knight g5 is the right thing to do. Knight g1, sorry. And then you just keep going with knight f6. What if they take? Knight takes f3 with check. Knight takes f3, knight takes c4. You're gonna recover everything, you win the game. What if this? Queen takes e7. And the position is just a mess. Mine is -3. Knight g1. What if knight here, which is something that I'm like, oh, d takes c5. Oh yeah, the knight blocks the bishop. Unbelievable. I should spend an hour just studying those positions and just do my own calculation and then check with the engine. But yeah, h5, if they push, you push, and if they push, you push. I saw this line, but I'm like, I just take and I don't see nothing. No, you push. Unreal. But okay, bishop f1. Let's keep going for just a second, guys. I'm having epiphanious revelations. So that's not a word for sure, but I just made it up. So knight e5, threatening checkmate. Threatening checkmate. Not just the queen. So they can't save the queen. It's the threat of checkmate. They have to play knight g1 to defend this, not really attacking this guy because that's guarded. That's why you always play d6 first in all of these situations. And here you play knight f6, again, winning a tempo on this guy. If they take, again, knight takes c4. If they take, again, queen e7. No, now you take. Now you take. Why do you take now? Because after bishop takes d2, knight takes d2, king takes d2, bishop b7 is GG's. And this is mental, thanks to this pawn. Not really thanks to the pawn. Well, yes, kind of. Bishop b5, king takes c7. What about f3? Knight takes bishop here, rook g1, bishop d4 even traps the bishop, not really. Oh, bishop takes b2 now. And rook b1, bishop c3. They have to go here, rook h5. Ridiculous. What's the threat? Rook here with the idea of checkmate. This is -4. Unbelievable. Sorry guys if I'm throwing down lines, but this is crazy. This is crazy. But of course, I just check the lines that are like super scary to me. That's why engine just crashes you. Like the engine will always crash you. This is crazy. But okay, again, bishop f1, knight e5, knight back. Knight here takes, but f3 of course. And here what do? You just castle. No, see, castling is crazy. Castling is mental. So first of all, one important pattern, they are not threatening this guy even after castling, because the knight is overworked defending this weak spot which forks king and queen. So that's the first thing to notice. So even after you castle, they can't capture this. This is already crazy. But what about this central tension? Let's say castle, which is suggesting. What if they take? E takes d6. And the problem is that their position is shit. Look at it. Look at it. Their position is just horrible. Yeah, but this is tough. Oh, not to mention bishop takes a7 is available and the best move. But rook b7, bishop d4. Just chilling. Knight c6. What? Bishop takes. Now this is definitely takeable. Bishop takes h3. We are down 3 pawns. We are down 3 pawns and is -1 for black. How? And the best move in this position is to sacrifice another pawn. How? I guess that's a little bit too risky to take. But what if they take with a queen? Of course, now if you trade is equal and we are down 4 pawns, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. But queen b6 is best, keeping the advantage. This is unbelievable. What if they trade? I guess if they trade, it looks even more obvious. They have no pieces in the game. You're gonna go here and here, organize an attack, and everything's weak. But geez, knight here, for example, yeah, rook d8, queen b3, rook db7, exactly what I said. I'm very happy that I noticed it right. And it's difficult to move. They can't go here because the queen guards it. What are we threatening? Infiltrations. This is so instructive. This is so instructive. It shows you the power of dynamics, sacrificing pawns. Unbelievable. But okay, I play d5 because, of course, I'm not an engine. And most importantly, I'm not strong at chess. Skill issue. Skill issue. Skill issue moment, guys. I just played d5. Bro. h5. And I was afraid of d4, h4 takes. This is crazy. Bro, but this is so exciting. After there are so many things I want to do. I was about to say, once I do the whole repertoire thing, I go back to those positions and I just hammer it down, but it's like too many things to do, man. That's crazy. That's crazy, though. No, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Bishop f1 already, what do I do? Knight f6, yeah, f3, castle. Right? Where is... No, knight e5. Oh yeah, knight e5 first. Already I'm lost. Now knight f6, f3, castle. C takes, e takes. And this is just... and this is just d5. And he's -2 in a few moves. This is crazy. And also, a lot of these moves are best engine moves for white. Some of them are just human moves. And it's still much better for black. Like, imagine if only a human is playing white. And you are a human, but you studied lines, you check with engine a trillion possibilities. It's like, that's GG easy. But even though in the game was also GG, it was definitely not easy. And it could have been GG for my opponent. So castle, bishop e6, h5 again, this is beyond. Well, no, now it makes sense. Why didn't I play now? I don't know. I guess I didn't have time to do nothing. Bishop e6, now f4, knight f6. Castle is wrong, should have played knight e4. Oh, logical move, logical, okay. But I played castle, f5, and here I played some slightly precise moves. I'm happy to see that e4 is not a blunder. But yeah, d5 it is, and of course here queen g5, knight e8, f6, and yeah, it was over. It was over with queen g5. And again, guys, remember the check, captures, and attack thing. Again, if you made it this far, what I'm about to say is also super important, and also, after years of experience, I realized this. There is this technique in Italian is called SCAP, which is scacco, cattura, attacco, piano, or check, capture, attack, plan. And in English is the check, capture, attack technique. It's the same. It's just different languages. Now, the technique will say in tactical situations, and this is obviously a tactical situation, so we are looking at it from my opponent perspective, right? But let's reflip it. But let's pretend you're white. You should look for checks first, then captures, then attacks. However, this is wrong. It's not wrong. Wrong is a provocation, but is incorrect in a way. It's not perfect. The way I think is perfect is you want to look for checks, but then you want to look for mating threats, and then you want to look for captures and then for attacks. Because technically a mating threat is an attack, is a threat. But the threat of checkmate, I realized in my experience doing puzzle rushes, puzzle rush survival, and also by playing, the threat of checkmate is much stronger than any capture. Is just much stronger, unless you're capturing with check. You can capture a queen and is not as strong as threat of checkmate, right? So if my opponent had that mentality trained, because of course this is something that you have to have trained, he would have looked at queen g5. Because he looked at capture first, which is something that I also did in my calculation. So I shouldn't criticize my opponent, because the reason why I play d5 is because I've done that mistake. I'm like d5, he takes, capture, I take, check captures attacks, right? But if I correctly trained check, threat of mate, right? But my excuse is that I had 14 seconds, so I'll justify myself. But my opponent had 7 minutes. It's pretty tough to excuse a 2167 that doesn't find queen g7 here. Because again, he was playing on my time, and what I always say, don't play on your opponent's time. I have 14 seconds, dude. Just play precise and lose. But no, play fast, don't have the right things trained, and you lose it. But, you know, my opponent also saw the same thing. Take, check, he goes back, he's untangling, he can always move his knight, and then I trade queens. I don't want to trade queens. What's going on here in the center? But again, there are no checks. He shouldn't even consider bishop takes g7. And I shouldn't even have considered bishop takes g7. Skill issue here from me as well. He should have immediately considered queen g5, which is threat of checkmate, and it's GG. And as soon as you queen g7, as soon as you see queen g5, any strong player knows it's over. As soon as I saw queen g5 in my head, I'm like, I'm lost. And then you calculate. But it's obviously over. But again, threat of checkmate is stronger than captures. So there is one attack which you have to put before anything else. Checks are the strongest, absolutely, the most forcing, no doubt. Threat of checkmate, captures, and other threats or attacks. Very important. Train that, and you'll be much stronger at tactics and in time scrambles. Order of magnitude stronger, I guarantee you. So I clearly haven't trained that enough, and I had 14 seconds, combination of the two. So d5, bishop takes g7, terrible blunder. King g7, with 6 minutes, that's really a bad blunder. From a 2100 to not play queen g5 in this position with time on the clock, terrible. He was playing on my time. That's the wrong strategic decision. So king g7, g5. Bringing one more piece into the game. The concept I explained in some of my previous videos, to not get too horny, but to just push it naturally. g5, knight e8. Knight h5. I thought about knight h5, but it felt so tender. But I guess is Raven's strategic concept of playing against your opponent's piece, and now he can't bring forward this piece. But okay, it's crazy, of course. It's not crazy, but okay. But knight e8, now f6, knight f2 would have been better. Okay, f6, king g8, knight e3, d4, e3. I'm at least achieving to close the position. Here he should have played knight h6. Yeah, this is also another instance where, obviously you keep the piece on the board, right? Yes, I don't die, but this knight is much better than this knight. Also because where is this knight going? Not here. So it would have been tough. Of course, now I'm threatening this, which he blundered later, paradoxically, but he can just defend with something. Queen g3, for example, yeah. But it's a tough position. It's a tough position because, again, strategically, if we trade all the pieces, I win because I have that pawn on e3, which is just a monster. And they don't have other breaks with the pawns that works. So, okay, h4, queen h4, rook f2, d8, king h8 is bad. But again, I was low on time. My mistakes are kind of justified. His mistakes less. I don't say this just because I'm me and he's my opponent. It's just that I had 30 seconds and he had 6 minutes and a half. So there is an actual difference there, objectively. Knight g3 would have been better. Again, bringing more pieces into the game. But through this other way. He did it like that, okay. I guess that the knight on f5 is stronger, so he wants to go here. Or perhaps even here, to target those guys. Again, you have to take your time to think. Knight e5, rook a2 e1. Here king h8 perhaps was best, but queen f8 was played. Rook e2, knight g6. Knight takes g6 is a mistake. Unbelievable. Should have kept it. And f takes g6 is a blunder. H takes. That's crazy. This actually makes sense and is genius geometry, because I was afraid in a position like this that he just doubles the heavy pieces and checkmates me, but then I realized, sorry, it's like you can't do it, because the queen can't go here. If you go here, I trade it, very happy, and if you go here, I take it. So the queen is stuck here and the pawn is stuck behind the queen, so all these pieces are stuck. So the only way would be to go here, but that's very slow, like so slow. But it starts. Yeah, but what about this, let's say? Because that's concerning. So what's the geometrical idea? Now you free the queen. Now you free the queen. So what about going queen d8? But queen d8 is not the same thing, because here you can't go. So queen d8. Yeah, now even rook to e5 to threaten this guy. Yeah, now even rook e5. Yeah, there was not the geometry for my opponent to conclude an attack successfully. But okay, f takes, check, king h8 is wrong. I should have played king g7. Unbelievable. And here queen e4 would have done the job. I don't know why. Queen g7, queen e7 would have been better, but rook g2. Why? Because of h4. Not sure I understand this. Sorry, what's wrong with going here like I did in the game? Queen e7. And I'm completely stuck. And then h5 comes and all these things. Tough position. Okay, but rook g2, rook f8, queen f3, a blunder. Rook b to c8 is now okay because they don't have queen e7. And now it's just over. They should have played h4. Now on h4 I wanted to take. Is it okay to take? I just wanted to take and I think this is equal. Yeah, it is. That was my tactical shot idea. In the end of the line I have this perpetual. This is what I saw. And I would have gone for it if they play h4. It turns out that after h4 you have perhaps even better with king g7. Brutal king g7. Brutal. a3, let's say, b takes a3, queen e6, and you're just gonna scoop it up. And then I'm strategically winning for the aforementioned reasons. Brutal king g2. Holy shoot, brutal. But queen e2 just blunders the pawn, and it blunders this. What if they go here? If they went here, I planned to do this, because it pins and it threatens, and if they go back on light squares, I check them. So let's see. Yeah, queen d5, king g1 only move. If they go here, I just take. If they go here or here, check, and we transpose to the game. So they have to go here. But now again, yeah, king g7, and I just gobble it up. Brutal. But yeah, after the game, king h1, I play queen d5, and after they move, I just take it, and it's defended, and then I win the endgame. So they rightfully resign. What a game! I won both games today. I don't even remember. Before moving on to look at my rating and jerk off to my rating, let's check if I played the opening correctly, which is a line that I'm super interested about. Let's go on Chessable, of course. Like that my life is, I go to work, I check the financial markets there to take some trades, and then I'm on Chessable. That's my life, guys. And I make these videos, of course. That's my life. So, okay, is this? It's a very specific line. I'm gonna also check it like in course, not just here, but for the time being, we are here. So e4, of course, we are looking at it from the black side. c5, knight c3, knight c6, g3, is this the move order? g6, I guess. Bishop g2, bishop g7, d3, and rook b8. Oh, fantastic. Oh, is this the move order? d3 and rook b8. Feels like this is the position. Yeah, rook b8. Had I played h5, I would have gone outside. So yeah, d3. I had the feeling that d3 was the main line for a second, because I felt like they played knight to e2, because I couldn't remember in the previous game. Because in the previous game, after this next move by white, let's say knight to e2, I played h5, I checked in the course, and the opponent went outside of the course before me. So I marked the green check. So whatever move they played in the previous game is not the move after which you should play rook b8. And so I couldn't remember if in the previous game they played d3. Because if they played d3 in the previous game, then I can play h5. However, I remember thinking in the previous game, after whatever move they played, that there were some ideas of d4. Which of course there are not, but that's the way I was thinking. And so I'm like, so probably d3 is what's in the course. And so at the last minute I am like, nah, let's play rook b8. And I don't know how I verbalized this during the commentary, because I was like, in my mind I was thinking and I was talking, but I don't really know what I was saying. I was just thinking in my mind. I'm able to speak and I'm thinking about something else. Not really. It's not like that, guys. I expressed myself wrong. It's not like that. But it's like, I'm thinking about 5 things and I say whatever I say. It's one of those things. I really have to focus to like speak what I think precisely. Okay, what's the new rating? The new rating is, if I can, 2349, almost 2350. I remember, let me make this a little bit bigger. I remember 2349 is crazy. I remember back when I was making the Road to 2500 series, struggling tremendously to just get to 2300. I don't know if I ever got there. Perhaps I was getting there, then I was going below, then I was getting there, I was going below. So from 4 or 5 months ago to today, I definitely gained 50 clean rating points here on Lichess, which again, it means what it means, because, you know, but is a clear, obvious improvement. Very happy about that. 2 hours of recording, I'd say that's more than enough. Also because for you it's the second video in one day, even though the first that you already watched before this one was supposed to be uploaded yesterday, one day before the actual upload, but I was too tired, I just went to sleep. Good decision. Thanks so much for watching. On Sunday I have a tournament, but I'll talk more about that in the future perhaps. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your chess.